All right. So I just started the upload of the USA truck video that I made. Initially, that was going to be my CDL school day. Is today even Monday or is it Tuesday? I think today's. Oh my God. Today's Monday. Okay. Monday, February 3rd. So today is the fourth week. So it should be day 16. Is that right? We've done 3 weeks. That's 15 days. So this is 16. Okay. So CDL School Day 16, that was what that's what this video is going to be. But the last video I just made, that's what that video was supposed to be. But I started talking about my plans to go to USA Truck and how, well, watch that video if you want the details. It's like a 35-minute video. I go into a lot of rambling and detail. But I decided to make that a separate video since I just basically ranted and raved about USA Truck for 35 minutes. So CDL School, what do we do today? As I've said in previous videos, the expectation was that we were going to test out this Thursday because the last 3 classes before us have tested on Thursday of their final week, even though normally you test the Tuesday after you graduate. So this is our 4th and final week. And normally it would be not tomorrow Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that and the Thursday after that that we would go to DPS, Department of Public Safety, Motor Vehicles. It's what they call the Department of Motor Vehicles here in Oklahoma. That's how it normally works. But because of the Christmas holiday and there's like a missing class, everybody's kind of been testing early because they have the slots already scheduled. So, hey, why not send somebody down there to test? I'm highly confident that I can pass the test. It would have to be like an auto fail for me to not pass the test. It would have to be me just doing something really stupid. The 2 things that I'm worried about is, number 1, on the inspection, I forget to do one of those things where I would check the other side the same way I check this side. So if I just inspect one, so the suspension, braking, and tire and wheel, if I inspect that on the drives, and I forget to say I would check the other side of the axle the same way I inspected this side, and I would inspect this axle the same way I inspect this axle. That's a whole lot of points that I would miss if I didn't say that. That's a technicality. Maybe I'd get a lenient examiner that would be like, so you're going to check these other axles and wheels and stuff and remind me? Or maybe I just get somebody that's a hard butt and fails me over it. So that's number 1 thing I'm worried about failing on, is that I just don't say that I would inspect the other side the same way, because you could miss a whole side of the truck by not doing that. The other thing I'm worried about is an auto fail on the drive test. There are a ton of things that can auto fail you on the drive test. Number 1, if you are not in control of the truck. So if you put it in gear and for whatever reason you don't have hold of the wheel and the brakes are out and it's in gear, that's an auto fail. If you don't have your seatbelt on, that's an auto fail. And I've been trying to get into the habit of I'm a big seatbelt wearer, like anyway. Like I always wear my seatbelt in my personal vehicle. I've always done that. But on all of our backing maneuvers out in the Crossroads Mall parking lot, they keep telling us, you don't have to put your seatbelt on when you're doing backing maneuvers. And so I've started like not putting my seatbelt on every time, and I think that's a bad habit for me to start, because I was putting it on every time. I need to start doing that again. I mean, I've done it for the last couple of days where I haven't put the seatbelt on, and that would be an auto fail. Egregious safety violations like that. Basically, if it's ticketable, it's like an auto fail. and not wearing a seatbelt is ticketable. Another thing would be like impeding traffic or running a red light or something like that. Or if I forget to get back in the right-hand lane. Like, if you can't get back over in the right-hand lane, you have to vocalize that to the examiner and say, hey, I know I need to get back over in the right-hand lane, but like there's too much traffic over there. I can't get back over there. I have to stay in the left-hand lane for now until there's an opening. If you tell the examiner that, you're supposed to be okay. But if you don't tell the examiner that, you lose points for every intersection you pass. Now, some people, when they think intersection, they think of traffic lights. Well, on the CDL exam, an intersection is any road that you pass. Like all these little residential roads that you're passing that don't have like a stop sign or a light or a signal or anything, all of those count as an intersection. And so if you just travel in the left-hand lane for a long period of time, you can fail for that. So I'm afraid of failing over something stupid like that. But anyway, let's kind of ramble this back to the beginning and to a point. We finally got confirmation today that we will be testing on Thursday. It was throughout most of the day, it was sounding like we weren't going to be testing on Thursday, and I think the reason that there was so much in the air with us is because we have not had an assigned instructor throughout the entire class period. We are some kind of fluke class. It is like normally, the way normally things work, and I've explained this before, is that your first week, yeah, you'll have a couple of different instructors. Typically, there's like one of the instructors that does the 3-day orientation, which is classroom, and then Cindy is the one that does your first 2 days of driving in your first week. And then week 2, you get assigned to like your instructor that you're with throughout the remaining 3 weeks. We had Gary, which is the director, as our classroom orientation training. He normally doesn't do that, but they're so short-staffed with instructors that he's filling in to do that. And Gary is absolutely amazing as an instructor. Every time I walk in there and I hear him teaching an orientation, he is really amazing at delivering the class exactly the same every time. Like, he doesn't go in there winging it. He has the entire orientation memorized, and he presents it exactly the same way with every class. He is really, really good. Gary is amazing from every interaction I've had with him. And then Cindy, of course, does the first couple of days of getting everybody, teaching them how to shift and stuff. And then you get your permanent instructor. Well, we haven't had that permanent instructor. We've had every instructor in the school at one point or another. And because we don't have that one permanent instructor kind of guiding our class through, the instructor we had today, Bruce, didn't really know, like he didn't even know what week we were on at the beginning of the day. So I asked him, like, when are we going to test out? Like, before we can go and take the CDL test, we have to pass the CDL test at CDL University. So I asked him, when is that going to happen? And he was like, oh, you guys are on week 4. Yeah, we usually start doing that on Tuesday, so you guys might be doing that tomorrow. Let me ask Gary what the plan is. And that's when he, at the end of the day, he asked Gary, and that's when we found out that, yeah, we're going to be testing on Thursday. So we're going to be testing out at CDL University on Tuesday and Wednesday. He said he's going to take the 2 strongest people, which would be Keith and I. Actually, honestly, I think Adam is the second strongest person. I'm the top person in the class. Keith used to be number 2, but honestly, I think Adam's number 2. Now, Keith can drive better than Adam, and Keith can do some of the backing maneuvers better than Adam, but Adam has progressed by a lot. And Adam, in my opinion, is better at the pre-trip inspection and the in-cab and all of the inspections. Adam has been studying his butt off, so As far as all of the inspections, which is a third of the test, I think Adam is better than Keith. Backing maneuvers, not a big disparity between the two. Keith is amazing at the alley dock. Keith has never messed up on the alley dock. Keith can alley dock for days. There's nobody better than Keith at the alley dock. He's just instinctual. He's backed up so many tractor trailers at this fueling job that he had that he just, like any maneuver where it's just purely skill, he dominates. But he has issues with the reference point maneuvers. So the parallel and the offset, he has issues with that maneuver or those maneuvers. Now, if he screws up and he gets out of position, then he knows how to fix that because he has natural skill from experience. But if he's just following the reference points and going through the list, he might screw up on one of those maneuvers. Adam is better at all the reference point maneuvers than Keith, and Adam is really he's gotten good enough at the alley dock that he can do it almost every time without any point loss. I am also amazing at the alley dock, except I'm not consistent. Typically, everyone has to do one pull-up to do the alley dock. I can do the alley dock 9 times in a row without a single pull-up, just one shot it in there. But 1 out of 10 times, I won't hit the hole properly, and I'll have to completely reset and redo the whole thing over again, and I might go over on points. And it's typically my very first one that I do for the day, which sucks because whenever I go on my test day, I'm only going to have that one. I'm not going to have a warm-up to kind of get back in the rhythm of things. But I can get it done within the points, even on my cold one for the day. Keith can do it every time, regardless. But he typically, I don't know if he's ever done it without doing a pull-up. But he's really, really good at the alley dock. And Adam has gotten to the point where he's really good at the alley dock. He's not. I don't think Adam is as good as. He's definitely not as good as Keith, and he's definitely not as good as me. But he's not too far behind. If Keith is like a 90 out of 100, I'm like maybe an 80 out of 100 or an 85, and Adam is probably like a 75. Like, there's not a big gap there. So Adam is probably the second best in the class, but Keith is still considered the second best in the class. So they said that the 2 strongest are going to do their exams on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So I am going to be one of those. I don't know who the other person is going to be. Most likely it'll be Keith. And then the other 2 are going to do it on Wednesday. The only person in our class that it's questionable on whether or not they can pass a CDL test is Tremaine. He's the one that doesn't seem. I don't know. I don't have any idea. Sometimes he just seems annoyed by my presence. Other times he's really nice. I have no idea what his deal is. But he's the one that I've said that doesn't seem to like me, and I try to avoid talking to him. But that goes back and forth. I'm always trying to be nice to him, but sometimes it just seems like he doesn't want to have anything to do with me, so I just will keep my distance. He's the only one that's questionable on whether or not they can pass. I don't know really how good he is on the pre-trip. I think he's probably good enough to pass the pre-trip. I think he's good enough to pass all of the maneuvers except the alley dock. He's the only one that has really, really big problems with the alley dock. He'll get out there and just turn the truck sideways on the alley dock, and just get completely lost, turning the wheels the wrong way and stuff like that. He's constantly improving, though. He just hasn't had that massive, like Adam last week. Well, Friday. I think Friday we did alley dock, and at some point Friday, something just clicked with Adam. And he started doing the alley dock every time, getting it in there. Prior to that, he was like driving off to the other side of the parking lot trying to do the alley dock. He was turning the wheels in the wrong direction. Like, he was as bad, if not worse, than Tremaine at the alley dock. And then something just clicked where he understood something on Friday. And halfway through doing the alley docks, and he started just nailing it every time. Tremaine hasn't had that epiphany moment yet, and it's really stressing him out. As soon as Adam started nailing it every time, and Tremaine was the only one in the class having any issues, he started getting frustrated. He got mad on Friday. And today, again, he was the only one having issues with the alley dock, and he got mad again today. But he made tremendous progress. Friday, he couldn't get it in the dock without somebody helping him. He would just, he would end up in another parking lot. He might get the tractor trailer turned around going the wrong way. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, he was turning the wheels the complete wrong way to do it, and like, it was really bad. And somebody would have to go out there and guide him, tell him, turn your wheel this way, okay, stop, back up, back up. They would have to get to that level of directions to get him into the alley dock. Well, today, he had a massive improvement. It wasn't like an Adam level improvement where he just started backing it in every time, but it was a massive improvement in that, yeah, it was taking him a while to get it into the dock, but he was getting it in there without an instructor having to go out there and tell him, turn your wheel this way, turn your wheel that way. So a huge improvement for him, but he was still mad because he's the only one that is basically not able to get it in there within the points, or he's the only one really having issues. And he feels like he's holding the class back, and we're having to do the alley dock because of him. Because that's basically the only thing anyone's having any problem with, and we're doing it because he's having so many problems with it. Well, honestly, if we do nothing between now and test day but alley dock, I will be happy with that, because alley dock is the only thing I really want to work on between here and test day, besides maybe inspections, but we do that every morning regardless. And then after that, it's just either driving or backing. And I don't want to work on driving. And on backing maneuvers, the only thing I want to work on is the alley dock. All the rest of them are just reference point crap. I got that the very first time they told me what the reference points were, and I've nailed it every time. It's like, I don't need work on turn until the sleeper lines up with the center of the diamond and stop. Alright, now turn your wheels all the way the other way and back up until your tractor and trailer are straight. Alright, now back up until the back of your trailer is 4 feet from that line. Once it's 4 feet from that line, then repeat the maneuver in the opposite direction. That is the offset and the parallel. They're the exact same maneuver. So, yeah, I told him today he was really stressed out and mad and feeling like embarrassed, and he apologized to everyone in the class for holding the class back. And I told him that, like, that's what I want to be doing is alley dock. So you're not holding me back at all. We're doing exactly what I want to be doing. So I don't know. So anyway, that was pretty much the day. We just alley docked all day long, and I loved it. I was just, I don't know. I think we counted them out. The instructor asked us how many we did. He's supposed to count how many we do, and he said he wasn't counting. And I said I thought we had done 7 or 8, and Adam said that he thought we'd done 7. So we did like 2 more after that. And I think only the very first one did I have to. The very first one that I did that day, and hey, I've got a defense after this. I'll tell you what my excuse is. But the very first one that I did, I came in too shallow, and I had to pull forward and realign and come back around the cone because I was going to hit the cone, the So you have a cone here and here. Oh my God, this is in like okay. All right. So the cone over here, yeah. When I was coming in like too early, and I was going to hit that cone just by a few inches, and I had to pull forward and reposition a little bit and let it drift back a little bit further before I went in. But I got it, and I think I had to do a second pull up. So I didn't use any points, but it took me 2 pull ups to get it in there. And I think I hit a cone. I think I did hit a cone, so that would have been 2 points. And this is one of the things about constantly changing instructors is that they have no idea what your skill set is or how proficient you are at something or what how many times you've done it or anything like that. So Bruce has worked with us once or twice before, but he forgot. He didn't remember us, and he's working with us today, and I got finished doing that. I think I was the first one that went today. I was the very first one. And he was so condescending. Like I don't think he meant it, but like I have 4 years of previous driving experience, and I normally nail the alley dock every time, and I do have an excuse on why I screwed up this time. But he was talking to me like I was some brand new driver who had no idea what I was doing. He was like, well, you're in there, you got to do this right here about which way the trailer's going to go, and you're in a car mind, and, he reminds me of Hank Hill. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what. But he was very unintentionally condescending toward me, talking down to me like I was somebody who had never done this before. And I kind of have to bite my tongue and be like, all right, sure, yep. I don't think that's why I messed up, but I just sit there and take it. But he started praising me after that, because every single one after that, I one-shotted it without a pull-up. It was just straight in there. But that very first one, now here's my defense, my excuse on the very first one. The person who drove the truck there pulled like 8 feet past the cone we were supposed to go pull up to, and they put the tractor trailer at an angle. Like, they went past the marker on our setup, and then they drove back to the left, and it put us at an angle. The alley dock's, back over, which direction am I going? Over here. And they had the tractor trailer at an angle like this, so it puts it at more than a 90-degree turn. So even with that straight, if it was straight, that would be a 90. So whatever that is probably like a, I don't know, 120-degree turn. It made it to where I had to do a much more extreme angle. And because he pulled like 8 feet past where we were supposed to start the maneuver, I should have corrected that. I didn't. I went ahead and started the maneuver out there. And that caused the trailer to come in early. But it just threw everything off. The setup was so bad it threw everything off. I was able to fix it. I did hit a cone and a couple other things, but after that I nailed every single one. And Bruce stopped talking down to me. Where are we at? How many minutes? 24 minutes. So yeah, we went out and we didn't actually do like a pre-trip inspection. Bruce was just like, what do you guys want to do today? And what he was asking was, do you want to do section A, section B, or section C? And we said that we wanted some clarification. So he was like, all right, well, let's just walk around and you guys ask me what you want clarification on. And so we asked questions on stuff. And he gave us his opinion, which on the inspections, every instructor has a different opinion on how to do the inspection, which is why you're supposed to be with the same instructor the whole time. And it's one of the points of frustration we've had in our class, because we're constantly told something different. It's usually conflicting information. Like one of the things we asked Bruce, we got in trouble the day before doing an inspection with another trainer. That trainer told us that whenever we're inspecting the electric lines between the tractor and trailer, we have to inspect the mounting point. We've never done that before. We've never inspected that mount. We've always just inspected the latch and the safety pin to make sure that they're, properly held in place and connected. Well, we got in trouble because we weren't inspecting the mount that it actually plugs into. And we asked, like, what are we supposed to do to inspect that? And he's like, you don't inspect that. So he said that instructor that told you that yesterday don't know what they're talking about. And I'm not going to throw that instructor. If you watched the previous video, you probably know who that instructor is, but I'm not going to name and shame him right now. But every instructor has a different way of doing things. And that's been one of our points of frustration. But yeah, that's all we did for the inspection portion of the day, was just going around and ask about, all right, what is the verbiage we would say on this? And, oh, do we have to inspect that? And, just a whole bunch of, like, conflicting information that we've received. Bruce is, I think, the most senior instructor there. He only works part-time now, but I think he was one of the original instructors at the school that basically trained the other instructors. So his information is probably maybe the best. I don't know. He's part-time now, so maybe they've made changes and he's not up to speed on some of those changes. I have no idea, but he gave us a lot of clarifying information on things, and that's all we did on the inspection, was clarifying stuff. Then we hooked a tractor and trailer together. Supposedly I screwed up, but it's like janky equipment. It's broken equipment. So I am the one that backed the tractor into the trailer. Now remember, I have like 4 years of experience. I've hooked tractors and trailers together thousands of times. So he told me just back it into it, and you want to just back into it and then just kind of bump. You're going to bump into the kingpin, and it's going to latch. It's going to be a little jarring when it happens, and you're good. That's okay. Just you're going to bang into it, and you're going to want to kind of hit it. And once you feel it hit, then that's it locking into place. I'm like, okay, that's just like normal hookup. So I just backed into it normal, nice, easy, and slow, just slow and steady. And backed into it and then hit it, felt it, jerk. And then they said, well, it didn't latch. And I was like, okay. So I, let off the clutch again and, just kind of lunged into it and hit it pretty hard while I was still pretty much, right there on it. And then they said it's still not latched. So then I pulled forward and it unlatched. And they told me to just go ahead and pull out from underneath it. Well, then at this point, Bruce tells me that the fifth wheel doesn't work properly. The locking mechanism on it, you have to slam into it. Otherwise, it'll get stuck partially engaged. And it won't lock properly. He said you have to hit it really hard. And I'm like, well, I wish you'd have like conveyed that to me at first. So they had to go get like a pry bar and a sledgehammer to, because it was partially locked in place. So they had to get it fully unlocked again, and then I backed into it again, and this time I went back into it at like full speed in reverse. And it didn't even latch in the first time doing that. And they said to go at it again, so I let all the way off on the clutch going in reverse while I was already like pretty much in it, and something clicked and it wrapped around and engaged that time. It's like, man, this is some janky equipment. But we finally got it all hooked up, and I think I don't think we're going to be testing in this blue truck 102 that we've been driving. I think we're going to be testing in the white truck. Bruce went and told Gary early in the morning that at a minimum 4 tires had to be replaced on the blue truck if we were planning on taking our CDL test in it. Because like none of we haven't driven the white truck yet. Supposedly that's the good one. We've driven 2 of the others. I think we've only driven 2 of the 4 trucks. The red one that they put the freshman in is the worst truck. It has an air leak that is really bad, and like everything, like it would not pass an inspection. There's never been anything that we've inspected that would pass an inspection. It's none of the equipment we've driven is technically roadworthy. But so I think we're going to be testing in the white truck that we've never driven, and it has a longer wheelbase, is what I've been told. But I've been told it's not a huge difference. It's like 6-inch longer wheelbase. Personally, I want to do some alley docks with that 6-inch longer wheelbase truck, and so I can get a feel for that. Russ on Friday, when I said that, because we were talking about it on Friday that we might be testing in the white truck that we've never driven, and I told him exactly that. I would like to do some alley docks and some maneuvers and stuff in it before we test in it. I hope we get that opportunity. And he started mocking me about it and like, if you can alley dock in this one, you can alley dock in that one, and all. He got under my skin a little bit on it. Like, it can make a difference. Like, this whole alley dock thing is it's on feels. It's like getting a comfort level with the turning radius of the tractor and trailer and stuff like that. Like the tandem position on your trailer. You can have the exact same trailer, the exact same 48 or 53 foot trailer, but if you move the tandems around on it, it's going to back different. And it can take like a little while to get used to that. You know, if you go and slide your tandems all the way back and then try to back in one of these 53 foot trailers that you've always backed in where the tandems were about 10 feet forward, it's going to handle a lot different. And if you've never done that before, it's going to be an eye-opening experience for you. So a 6-inch wheelbase difference is not going to be massive, but I would still like to get some reps in on the truck we're going to be testing on. So tonight I should probably study my pre-trip a bit, but I'm overly confident that I'm going to nail it. Like I'm just overly confident on the whole thing. I think I've got it all down. I think I can easily pass. And now I'm super excited after finding out all the information about USA Truck. Like, I was stressed out after watching this new person in orientation at USA Truck on Friday night, and stressed all weekend about it. Most of my weekend was spent researching USA Truck to find out like what the hell happened. Why did they go down the crapper like that all of a sudden? And then I called the recruiter just before this video, and it was all good info. Like they did make changes, but everything was for the better. It was either exactly the same as it was, or it got better. And in the case of pay went up dramatically. 5 cents per mile on pay is huge. Plus they have this 3 cents per mile if you don't have an automatic restriction, and that's massive. So I have to fill out the app, and when I reply to her email, I'm going to ask for clarification on the 42 cents per mile. Is that including the 3 cents per mile for not having an auto restriction? So it's 39 cent per mile base pay plus 3 cent per mile for not having an auto restriction. Now, the only thing that sucks about that is that I was looking forward to driving an automatic. For anyone who hasn't driven one of these trucks, it is absolutely nothing like driving a manual car. There is so much shifting that you do. Even just cruising down the interstate. If you're in a manual car cruising down the interstate, once you're in that top gear, there's not a whole lot of shifting, even if you're bouncing between 60 and 80 miles an hour. In one of these damn trucks, every little hill that you go over, you can lose 10 to 15 miles per hour in speed if you're max weight, and you're having to downshift for those hills, and then you have to shift back up through the guilds. Gears. What's going on? Where are my words? I think what it is that my mind is getting so far ahead of my mouth that I'm losing track of what's going on. But it's hard to explain to somebody who's never done it. There are a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I never want to get rid of my manual. I never gonna want to go to automatic. I want my manual." I want an automatic. I've never driven an automatic semi, but the amount of the shifting is like, I don't even know how to describe it to somebody who's never driven one of these, 10 speeds. Like that's a fairly low number of gears for one of these trucks. 13, 18 speeds. I don't think 13 and 18 speeds are too terribly common. I think 9 and 10 speed are probably the most common transmissions, manual transmissions in the trucking industry. But you can definitely get them with more gears. And then, like, I drove 7 speeds with when I drove for Conway, or their XPO now. They had 7-speed Sterlings that didn't have a splitter. They were just straight 7s. Those were crap. But all right, this is 2 30-plus minute long videos in one day, so I'll get this uploaded. Thanks for watching. All in all, a good day. Alley docs all day. Tons and tons and tons of good news. I'm happy. I'm really happy. And we ate at the damn gas station again today. I'm easy to please. I don't really care, but Burger King is not like way up here on my list of awesome places, but the gas station is definitely down toward the bottom. Like, who in the hell chooses to eat out of a gas station? So that's where we ate again. Oh, and funny story on the gas station. I got up there, and the guy behind the counter, I said, "Yeah, I want a gyro," and he chuckles. And he says, "A what?" And I said, "A gyro." And Keith, the redneck from Arkansas, is standing next to me, and he said, "A gyro?" And I kind of chuckled. And then the guy behind the counter was like that right there, and he said, "There's your gyro." Him and Keith were both calling it a gyro. And he was like, "Do you want any of the sauce with it?" And I was like, "That ranch-like sauce?" And he was like, "Well, I've got ranch, but I've also got the sauce for that, which is like a cucumber sauce." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I want some of that." And he called it ZD or Ziki or whatever it's called. But I'm like 102% sure that it's pronounced gyro and not gyro. I can't believe, like, I was shamed for calling it a gyro at the gas station. Like, Keith and the cashier or person who makes the food and hands it out, both were calling it a gyro. Now that's like bothering the hell out of me. I gotta Google that now. Gyro. Merriam-Webster. I guess that's a good place.
Gyro, gyro, gyro.
Yep. Merriam-Webster says that it's pronounced gyro. There looks like there's an alternate definition: a member of a major international service club, and that one is pronounced
gyro, gyro,
gyro. A member of a major international service club, a gyro. So a gyro is short for like gyroscope. In the context of a sandwich, it's a damn gyro, is basically what all this says, but there's a couple of other different types of things that are spelled the same way that are pronounced gyro or gyro. But those are like gyroscope and gyro compass and some type of member of a major international service club is a gyro. I don't know what in the world that is. Okay. So I was right. It's just it is really frustrating to like know what you're talking about and have other people around you just not have any idea what they're talking about and telling you you're wrong. I don't like drama. I don't like arguing or debating, so I'll just sit there and just like go on with my business and let them pretend that they're right. So, all right, thanks for watching the video. Have a good one.